They came in the dead of night, Russian drones tearing through skies just meters from NATO's doorstep. In Moscow, a new peace plan is quietly taking shape. But as diplomacy simmers behind closed doors, on the ground, the war burns hotter than ever. This is no longer just Ukraine's war. This is a crisis edging ever closer to Europe's heart. Tensions are once again running high in Eastern Europe after Romania scrambled its F-16 fighter jets in response to a Russian drone strike that struck dangerously close to its border, Fox News reported. According to the report, the incident took place overnight between August 5th and 6th, raising fears of a potential spillover of the Ukraine conflict into NATO territory. Romania's Ministry of National Defense said that the Russian drones targeted Ukrainian infrastructure in the Izmail area of the Odessa region, a zone less than 1 kilometre from the Romanian border. In a public statement posted to social media, the ministry confirmed its radar systems had detected air targets in Ukrainian space close to Tulcea County.
On the night of August 5th and 6th, the Russian forces launched a massive drone attack on the civilian infrastructure in the Izmail area, Ukraine, in the vicinity of the border with Romania.
At approximately 1 a.m. local time, authorities issued an emergency RO alert warning to residents in the northern part of Tulcea County. Simultaneously, 2 F-16s stationed at the 86th Air Base were scrambled as part of a rapid response surveillance operation over Romanian airspace. While Romanian defense officials later confirmed that no drone had violated their airspace, the impact of the explosions and the scale of the fire caused by the drone strikes were clearly visible from across the Danube River. Video footage from the Romanian side showed large plumes of black smoke and flames engulfing infrastructure on the Ukrainian bank. Romania's emergency services reported receiving at least 19 calls from concerned citizens who believed the explosions had reached Romanian territory. Authorities reassured the public that there was no immediate threat, but confirmed that a thorough sweep of the area would continue throughout the day. The drone strike reportedly hit a gas infrastructure facility in Orlivka, part of the Odessa region, which borders the Danube Delta. Ukrainian authorities are yet to disclose the full extent of the damage, but local officials described it as a targeted attack on critical civilian energy infrastructure. The escalation comes amid a flurry of high-stakes diplomacy. On August 6th, US Special Envoy Steve Witkoff arrived in Moscow and held direct talks with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Kremlin Foreign Policy Advisor Yuri Ushakov described the meeting as useful and constructive and said both sides explored possible off-ramps to the war in Ukraine.
It was quite a useful and constructive discussion. When it comes to its topics, first of all, it was the Ukraine crisis. And the second topic were prospects of possible development of strategic cooperation between the US and Russia. On our part, in particular on the Ukrainian issue, some signals were transmitted. Corresponding signals were also received from President Trump. The situation now is that our President, Putin, possesses full information including both our signals and signals from Trump, while Trump has not been told about the results of this meeting yet. So, I would refrain from more detailed comments. Let's see when U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff will be able to report to Trump on today's conversation. After that, we will be able to complement these comments of mine with something more substantial.
Shortly afterwards, President Donald Trump, who returned to the White House earlier this year, confirmed the meeting and called it a step toward great progress.
My special envoy, Steve Witkoff, just had a highly productive meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Great progress was made. Afterwards, I updated some of our European allies. Everyone agrees this war must come to a close, and we will work towards that in the days and weeks to come.
Reuters, quoting sources close to the negotiations, reported that Trump has set a ceasefire deadline and that if Witkoff's mission fails to produce a framework for talks, Washington is prepared to impose fresh sanctions and secondary tariffs on Moscow, particularly targeting the financial networks supporting the war. Russian investment envoy Kirill Dmitriev told Reuters that dialogue would prevail, suggesting that Moscow may be open to a face-saving compromise, provided its core interests are acknowledged. Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky confirmed that he spoke with Trump before Witkoff's departure.
Right on my way from our brigades here in Sumy region, I spoke with President Trump. This conversation happened after President Trump's representative, Steve Witkoff, visited Moscow. Our joint position with our partners is absolutely clear. The war must end, and it must be done honestly. European leaders were on the call, and I am grateful to each of them for their support. We discussed what was spelled out in Moscow. Ukraine will definitely defend its independence. We all need a lasting and reliable peace. Russia must end the war that it itself started. Thank you to everyone who stands with Ukraine.
While Kyiv has not opposed the talks, insiders say Ukraine is deeply wary of any deal that could result in freezing the conflict or legitimizing Russian territorial gains. Zelensky reiterated that any resolution must begin with the full withdrawal of Russian forces. Meanwhile, tensions are rising between Ukraine and Hungary as Budapest has accused Ukrainian conscription officers of causing the death of a dual Ukrainian-Hungarian citizen during a military roundup. According to Russia Today, 45-year-old Josef Sebastien, a resident of Ukraine's Zakarpattia region, home to a significant Hungarian minority, had died from injuries inflicted during a brutal beating by military recruiters using iron rods. His death triggered widespread outrage in Hungary. Hundreds protested outside the Ukrainian embassy in Budapest, while the Hungarian government summoned Ukraine's ambassador to lodge an official complaint. Budapest also urged the European Union to impose sanctions on Ukrainian officials deemed responsible for Sebastian's death. Hungary's Foreign Minister Peter Szijjártó denounced the alleged incident in scathing terms.
A country like that not only has no place in the EU, it doesn't even belong among civilized nations.
Kyiv has rejected the accusation, stating the individual died of pre-existing health issues. The European Commission has yet to comment, but the diplomatic row threatens to fracture EU consensus over continued support for Ukraine as war fatigue deepens.